back to our channel. Ruth here, and in today's video I'm excited to share with you Billionaire's Success Habits. And this is actually taken from a CNBC article, and it's actually top 6 surprising things, or maybe not so surprising. So what's actually billionaires? So we're not just talking about millionaires here, we're talking about billionaires. What are their success habits? So in this article, 21 billionaires were actually interviewed, and here are the 6 common traits. Are we ready? Trait number 1. Billionaires, well, at least most of them, they wake up early in the morning. And apparently, based on the interview, most billionaires actually say when they wake up earlier, they have more time to think during the morning. They're actually alert in their mind, and they can actually start planning things. So they have a sharp mind, and they'll be able to go, you know what? In my business, this is what I want to do today. You know, in my life, this is what I want to do today. So that is actually one of the common traits to waking up early. Now, I'm not saying that you have to wake up early because everyone's different. I mean, there's early birds and there are night owls. Now, personally for me, depending on the season of the year, usually during winter in Australia, it's really cold. So for me, I actually really struggle to wake up early. But naturally, I'm actually a night owl. So I actually get really alert during the afternoons or even during the evenings. I actually get a lot of ideas, you know, for my books, for my businesses, marketing, whatever it could be. Sometimes just, you know, around evening time. But for my husband, for example, he is an early bird. So sometimes he gets up at 3-4 a.m. in the morning. He's completely alert. He does his trading, you know, he goes on the forex market. He does his emails, he does his business stuff, whatever he does best at about 4 a.m. in the morning. He starts ringing people at about 6 o'clock. And I used to ask him, honey, it's 6 a.m. in the morning. Do you think that person is awake? Because it was for me. I will not be answering that call, you know, but he's the boss, so they better answer the call. So generally, billionaires wake up early, and if you don't yet wake up early, then I would get you to really try out waking up a little bit earlier. So most successful people actually say they wake up about 2 hours before they have to get to their first appointment, 2 or 3 hours. Some do their meditation, some will pray, you know, some will review their goals, and some will exercise. They'll have a healthy breakfast. So whatever it is that works for you, definitely give that a go. But at the end of the day, I think you need to find out what is the one thing that works for you. You don't have to be like everybody else, but try your best to incorporate, you know, time to actually look after yourself on the day, you know, whether it's preparation, planning, exercising, looking after your body. So just know that you are important. You are actually your greatest investment, because if you look after yourself, you can look after your businesses, you can look after your family and everybody else. So that's trait number 1. Trait number 2, billionaires keep healthy. So that's actually their success habit. They eat well, they sleep well, and they exercise. So that's actually coming back to that first point, right? And they look after their body because they know that if they invest in themselves, they can actually look after everybody else. And that really makes sense because I think if we spread ourselves so thin, because the thing is, in this world, especially when you start to become a leader and you start to become successful, people will start to look up to you, and they'll come to you and they'll say, well, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Can you do this for me? But at the end of the day, I think we might have to actually set a healthy boundary and say, you know what, whilst I want to do all of these things for everybody else, you know, if you run yourselves down, if you don't eat, you don't sleep, you don't exercise, guess what? You're gonna be drained of yourself. And when you're not effective, when you're sickly, when you're not functioning well, you know what? Everything else will start to crumble. So it's so important that you invest in yourself and you don't actually feel guilty about it. For example, you know, if you're already a fairly successful business person or a career person, and you get different requests to catch up with them. They want you to mentor them, to give them business advice, relationship advice. You might need to just draw a boundary and say, well, instead of catching up with this person for 5 hours that day, you might cut it down to say, well, I've got other commitments. You can say to them, but I can spend 1 hour of my time with you, but it has to be next week. Okay, that way you can use the other times to invest in yourself, in terms of even exercising. That is important. In terms of if you're a spiritual person, praying and reviewing your goals and looking at your life, that is important. So don't feel guilty. Don't be afraid of saying no. Obviously be respectful. Help people as much as you can, but you need to draw that boundary so that you can look after yourself. Okay. The third trait that billionaire has is actually they read. So most billionaires actually read. I listen to a lot of motivational and success speakers. I look at their daily routine, and a lot of them seem to have a similar daily routine. They wake up early, they exercise, they read, they pray, etc. So in terms of reading, I understand that not everyone has got the time, to sit down and read. You might have got 5 kids, a full-time job, trying to, start a part-time business, right? So you might not have a lot of time to actually just sit down quietly and read, and that's okay. Even in my personal life, for example, at the moment, things can get fairly, I would say, I have to look after many, many different things because I'm a partner in the law firm, and at the moment I'm running a couple of different businesses, and I volunteer in different organizations as a legal advisor in the children's section in my local church. So there's a lot of things going on, but I try my best to actually learn something every day. And sometimes might not be every day, but as much as possible, as many days as I can. So for example, if I'm getting ready to work or to go somewhere, I actually push play. So what I do is I listen to like a podcast or something on YouTube. There's a lot of free contents out there that's going to actually help me to be better in what I do, whether it's in the area of law that I practice in, or whether it's helping me in the area of sales or marketing or coaching, etc. So, those times are not wasted. It could be 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there when I'm, prepping a meal. And if you add all that up, that's actually, I call it push play university. You can actually learn a pretty good education out of that. So have your phone with you or iPad, whatever device you have, carry it with you and make it a habit. Even if you're showering, if that's the only time you get to have peace and quiet away from your kids, you know what? That 10 minutes is valuable. So listen to something that's going to really build yourself up, whether it's intellectually or spiritually. Okay. Number 4. So billionaire success habits. Well, they contemplate. So what do I mean by that? Well, they actually take the time to think. A lot of us are really amazing in doing, like we can do this and do that. We jump from task to task. But billionaires actually stop and they go, I need to think. And some of us might think, oh, it's a waste of time. But if billionaires do that, then maybe it's time for us to give it a go as well. So why is it important to contemplate? Well, I believe it's important to contemplate because that is the time where you really get to review as to if what you're doing is actually effective, if the resources you're spending is actually effective. Or sometimes that's the time where you get the best ideas to grow your business or maybe to diversify, because at the end of the day, especially in the business world, things are changing every single day, with technology, but you could just be in that quiet moment where you get that boom, that ding, enlightenment, and you go, wow, you know what? Maybe I should try this. So sometimes I think the best ideas come in stillness and in quietness. So don't be afraid to take that time to be quiet, to be silent, to review, to think, and to improve. Because that's what billionaires do. Number 5, Billionaires commit themselves to routines. Oh, well, well, apparently billionaires, they are people of routine. They're not just spontaneous. So they actually plan. They plan their week, they plan their day. And actually, one of the best teaching I would say that I've heard so far that's really helped me out is by Craig Ballantyne. Yep, Craig Ballantyne. Now, at one point, he wrote the book called Perfect Day Formula, and then he had a revision, and he calls it the Perfect Week Formula. So the Perfect Week Formula is a little bit more flexible, where he actually looks at the week and go, you know what, what's important for me right now? So he actually says, it's okay to plan time with your family because your family is important. That, and I believe a lot of us are doing what we're doing. We want to be successful. We want to, increase our wealth because we want to provide a better future for our family. We want to leave a legacy behind, right? So do not neglect your family. So Craig actually talks about how, you can say, well, on this night, you might want to schedule in for family time. But what about the other nights? What is your most important task? And he teaches about how we can actually plan the most important tasks that we need to do, whether it's on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. And I actually find that very, very helpful. Personally, in my professional life, in my business life, in my personal life, I actually find that really, really empowering because I feel like you need to know what is the most important task that is going to affect not just yourself, but also your family, your organization in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. And if you can't schedule it in that week's just going to go by spontaneously. It's going to say bye-bye to you. But if you're able to schedule it and commit to it, and guess what? You'll be able to take one step closer to achieving your dreams. So definitely commit to routine. Doesn't mean that you can't be flexible at times, but as much as possible, commit to your routine, whether it's investing in yourself, investing in your business, investing in your goals. Those things are important. And finally, the sixth thing that billionaires have, the thing that they practice is they actually practice self-discipline. They tend to limit distractions and they learn how to say no. Now, I actually read one time, I believe it's Warren Buffett. He says, really, really, he uses the word really successful people actually say no to most things. Now, what does he mean by that? The thing is, especially when you're starting to grow in the business world, you might see success here and there, and you'll see that there will be people who want to come and collaborate with you, or they might want your attention because they want your advice. It could be a friend, it could be a family member, right? But at the end of the day, it's so important that we limit distractions and say no, especially to social media. My goodness, social media is great, but at the moment, I feel like there's a lot of notifications. So your phone could be dinging every 2 seconds because you could get a notification from Twitter, from GroupMe, from WhatsApp, from YouTube, from Instagram, from Facebook, from your emails, from what else? There's all these different platforms, Signal, and the list goes on. But you know what? If you're living your life based on what other people's lives are, because it could be the latest news, it could be the latest YouTube video that your favorite YouTuber has posted. But if you're going to read every single notification, then technically you are watching people living their successful life. So instead of that, I would say if you can allocate a certain amount of time. So for example, if your dream is to, let's say, write a book, okay, or write a blog, and you want to see income start to come in through your writings, then dedicate maybe an hour or two that particular week on a certain day. Be very clear as to when it is, and on that day turn off all your phone notifications or leave your phone in another room. I actually leave my phones, I've got different phones for work, for different things. I leave my phones in like another room and I make sure it's on silent, but I have like another one where it's for family emergency only, and I try my best to go, what, for that 2 hours I'm gonna dedicate, whether it's to recording a YouTube video or writing my books or writing a submission for a court appeal case, you know, because I'm a partner in a law firm, so sometimes I need to just take time out to work on difficult cases. And you know what? After the 2 hours, you can go back and check all your messages, reply to everybody else. So it's actually okay to say no. It's important to set that boundary. Okay. So that's the 6th thing that billionaires do. They practice self-discipline, they limit distractions, and they know how to say no. So I hope you enjoyed the content of today's video. And would you be so kind, last but not least, to hit the like and subscribe button so we can keep you motivated. And again, I will hope to see you next time. Bye.